Welcome back to Coffee and Conversation. And it really is coffee today because Audie the bad cat is out marauding around the neighborhood. I have no idea what he is doing out there, but it gives me a chance to keep a cup of coffee on my desk without having to worry about him pushing it out of the way because he would like to be in the video instead. So when he comes back, and I'm sure he will. He doesn't like being out too long at this time of day. When he comes back, I'm going to have to move the coffee. But until then, I am enjoying the cat-free peace of a quiet cup of coffee. All right. Yellow for Catherine, for Lex's mom, for everyone out there coping with cancer. We wish you all the very best possible outcome. And in a related sort of note here, we are also spreading this around with the giveaway. The largest part of the scarves in the giveaway will be scarves with yellow in it, pieces I specifically bought for the videos, and with an eye to eventually passing them on to the community. And by the way, some of the others were gifts from viewers, etc. So it really is sort of a community giveaway. And hopefully we will all be able to enjoy. Okay, we are going to return in 22 seconds after the intro. So see you then. So yesterday, while I was rambling on about whatever it was that caught my fancy at the moment, I mentioned reluctantly, because I hate admitting things like this, that despite my best intentions of cutting back on my shopping, I did in fact make some purchases recently. And the one that seemed to catch everybody's attention was that green suede tote bag. And I'm calling it a tote bag because it is quite large, even though I think it's supposed to be a handbag. I don't know. There was a time, and back in the 80s, when massive handbags were a thing. People were carrying everything in their bags. I remember in the cities, people were carrying sneakers and shoes and whatever else. They were carrying their gym clothes in their bags. They were stopping at the gym on their way to work, changing, throwing the things in their handbag, going to work, and then same thing for others on the way back. So yes, that was absolutely a thing. But in recent times, handbags have become smaller and smaller and smaller. Now, this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is to each his own. There have been many, many times in the past when small handbags have been popular, many times when large handbags have been popular. These trends come and go. In my case, I really did not need another handbag. What I did need was a good travel bag, like a weekender, an overnight bag. And that bag is going to be perfect for me. Not even in terms of vacation, but in terms of something I can throw a couple of laptops in and go on my merry way. So I was satisfied overall with that purchase, despite the fact that I felt very guilty about it. So what I thought I would do is just take you all back to my bedroom where, this is where I can sort of spread out. And we're going to take a look at that. And we're going to take a look at why I thought it was a good bargain, why I think if you find something like this, it may be a good bargain for you too. But do keep in mind, a good bargain for me may not be a good bargain for you and vice versa. These things are very, very individual. But I'm going to let you know what sold me on the bag and how I intend to store it. And then we'll come back. We'll talk a little more. So I mentioned this bag in yesterday's video and got a number of comments on that video about the bag. So I thought we would talk about it because I think this is probably going to be a useful sort of teaching tool here. So let me start off with, we are in the bedroom where I can just throw things out on the bed and spread out. And this, by the way, is just the way my bed is most of the time. This is an old sheet. Fortunately for me, since I'm filming this, it's not one of the worst of my old sheets. It's not all tattered and repaired. But I save old sheets like this so I can throw them on top of the bed, and consequently, Audie can come in and make himself at home in here, and I don't have to worry too much. So that's our just momentary message about the background. This is the bag. Now, this bag is about 22 inches across. So as a handbag, this is huge. My next largest handbag is like probably less than half this size. But as a tote bag, or what I'm going to use it for, as a piece of luggage, it is perfect. I think for most people, this would constitute an overnight bag or maybe a weekender. But given the fact that I have a mix and match wardrobe and I know how to pack tightly, this could probably take me for, anywhere from 10 days to 2 weeks, just in terms of the amount of clothing I could put in here. Now, the bag is suede, and it's very high quality leather. It's obviously olive green. The reason I grabbed it when I did was because even though I will preach, be intentional about your shopping, put it in a wish list, think about it. Sometimes, especially with unusual items that fill a gap in your wardrobe, in your home, in this case, in my general set of bags, you need to be able to jump when you find it. So what is it about this that filled a gap for me? Well, first of all, the quality. This is from a company. Let me turn that around so you can see it. It's for a company called La Via Firenze. And that just means Florence Street. This is probably not a brand you've heard of because their primary business is making high-quality leather goods that are then wholesaled out to other companies. So they will make it, and then Bergdorf Goodman or Neiman Marcus will throw their label on it. So this is why you may not have heard of this, but I'm sure that especially if you spend much time shopping or even just window shopping at the better stores, you've seen their stuff before. So when I saw this bag for $129, and that's what I paid for it, well, plus tax, of course, when I saw this bag at that kind of price, knowing that Neiman Marcus or any of the other really trendy stores would be throwing a price tag of $500 or $600 minimum on it, yeah, I grabbed it. Now, in addition to the quality, the other reason, and this is probably the reason I grabbed it quickly rather than thinking about it, is the color. For me, olive is a neutral in my wardrobe. And I'm starting to think that a lot of you share that with me because just based on the comments, olive is also a very hard color to find. And again, those of you who are olive lovers as I am are going to say the same thing. Yeah, how did you find an olive suede bag? Well, in my case, like I say, olive is one of my neutrals, and suede sort of in some weird coincidental set of purchases, became my go-to texture for that olive color. And so an olive suede bag at that kind of price with this kind of quality, this is a forever bag. Oh yeah, I grabbed it. Now, I've already made a couple of alterations, and let me start with this. I put this ring on the zipper pull because I like something that I can grab and pull when I'm dealing with the zipper. I did the same thing for the interior zipper pocket. But if you look at this, and you can see the strap in the bottom, that's the shoulder strap. No compartments. We have a side pocket with a zipper and then two other little side pockets, and they will hold a good sized cell phone because my cell phone is large and they'll hold mine. Other than that, just wide open space. And that makes it perfect as a travel bag. I can put clothes, I can put a laptop, I can put anything I want, and I can put it in the bag anywhere I want. So anyway, those zipper pull attachments were the first of the changes. The second is right here. This is the storage bag that came with our lovely green suede bag. And this is crap. I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, this is just junk. This is not even fabric. This is some sort of woven fiber. Well, it's not even woven. It's probably a pressed fiber that has come off a machine. And it's also too small for the bag. If you look at it, here we go. You can see it just barely covers one side of the bag, but the bag does not have just one side. So when I tried to stuff this bag full of air pillows, which is what I do to all of my bags in order to keep their shape, and then tried to stuff it in this, oh no, it was not working. Fortunately, and here's another one of my little tricks, I dug this out of my stash of dust bags. Now, Louis Vuitton, you can see the logo there. This is a wonderful combed cotton that it's got a very flannel sort of feel to it, and it has that same gusseted bottom style. Despite the fact that this bag is not appreciably larger than that one, it works, and it works for this bag. So that's the new bag. These are the air pillows that I've started shoving in there. The reason I do that is, like I said, I don't want my bags to lose their shape in storage. And if it's something that's going to be stored for a long time, and because this is probably going to be a travel bag, and I am not going away every other week, it may well find itself stored for a long time. There's something else I'm going to do to it, and I'm going to... This is silica gel. This is a good-sized packet of silica gel, as you can see, and I put silica gel in everything I pack away, especially if it's going to be stored for any length of time. Now, the reason for this is the silica gel will absorb moisture, and I once lost a really nice leather bag because I stored it away. It got moist, it got mold on it, it just couldn't be salvaged. So, learn from my mistakes. This stuff is cheap. In fact, you can get smaller packets like this in stuff you buy. You know, it comes in the mail, it'll come with a silica gel packet. You buy it in the store, it'll come with a silica gel packet. Save them, use them. Don't make my mistake. Because believe me, if I had a time machine and I could go back and recover that bag I lost just to my own careless storage methods, I would. So, yeah, silica gel, and that will be going in there. All right. Now, the other thing that I wanted to show you are these. One of our viewers had mentioned that she thought the bag would go particularly well with these shoes. And I had showed these shoes when I was cleaning out my shoes and also talking about the various ways of lacing shoes and the style, the way to tell the difference between Oxfords. This is an Oxford, one solid piece across the lacings. As you can see, it's one piece, it's not separate. That's an Oxford. And Darbies, which are separate pieces, you know, a flap on this side, a flap on that side, held together by the laces, and you can adjust the width of Darbies more easily than you can of Oxfords. And we also talked about broguing, which is not a style of shoe, it's a style of decoration. These little perforated holes going across the shoe. And in this case, they're just going across this part, which is called the saddle, hence saddle shoes. But that's broguing. So if you watch, The King's Men, that sort of James Bondish kind of series, I think Colin Firth is in it. At one point, the code is Oxfords or brogues. No. Oxfords can be brogues. We're not talking two separate styles of shoe. We're just talking about Oxfords and brogues, the perforation as opposed to the laces. They are not mutually exclusive. All right, so enough criticizing movies. Now, the light here is very unusual because we have light from the camera on my phone, we have light coming in from the window, and we have overhead lighting, which is showing all of these various shades of olive in a very, very different sort of way. To the naked eye and in good daylight, no, the color difference is not that obvious. So I did want to reassure you of that. This is just, in part, the nap of the suede and the various light sources that are coming through. Yes, olive suede, a favorite pair of shoes. And this is one of my favorite jackets. This is a vintage Abercrombie & Fitch piece. It's a men's piece, and it's a shooting jacket. This goes back, this one is probably from the early to mid-1960s, based on the way they sewed the label into the interior of the jacket. So I would say, I would put a date of about 63 to 65 on this. Vintage piece, back from the days when Abercrombie & Fitch actually meant something in menswear. They were well known for their sporting wear items like this. And it was like Teddy Roosevelt got his clothes at Abercrombie & Fitch. It was very, very la-la. So I was delighted to get my hands on this beautiful vintage jacket. But as you can see, suede in the bands at the top of the pockets and at the shoulder piece. Now, this is what makes this a shooting jacket. This little patch of suede on the right shoulder, and that's where you would situate the butt of your rifle when you were shooting, because obviously you don't want to just use the wool of the jacket. It would take too much abuse from, using it to seat a gun. So, yes, Abercrombie & Fitch vintage shooting jacket. And our primary colors here are olive, obviously, and olive suede, along with browns and beiges and, I don't even know what other colors are in here. Like most of these nice plaids, there are probably a dozen colors, and I'd be lucky to identify 5 of them. So, yes, some of the forever pieces in my wardrobe, the nicer pieces, the pieces that are very much in keeping with my dark academia style, which I never wear on camera for you, and I'll have to change that someday. But yes, if I have a style, I would have to say it is dark academia. And this is very in keeping with all of this, not just because of the color, but because of the texture, because of the suede. So yes, olive suede is hard to come by. I locked myself into something very, very tricky when I just happened to go over to olive suede as the basics, in my wardrobe. That is my wardrobe staple, frankly, olive suede. So yes, I didn't do myself any favors with that because it's very hard to come by. Despite the fact that I don't really like black very much, I would have been so much better off going with black. So that is why this turned out to be a good purchase for me, even though it was an impulse buy, in that I've been into the store where I bought this dozens of times. I go through their handbags constantly, and I have only, let's see, this is the third time I have purchased a handbag from them. And ordinarily, I just walk away. This time, I simply could not do it. It was just something I knew I would not find again, and if I did, I would not find it at this kind of price. So, yeah, I felt pretty darn good about that purchase, but I did feel guilty at the same time because I didn't need it. The truth is, I could live the rest of my life without that bag. But now that I've seen it, I wouldn't be living the rest of my life happily, but I could. Was it a necessity? No. Was it something that under ordinary circumstances absolutely should have gone into my wish list? Yes. But again, there are times when the wish list strategy of, think about it. Put it in your wish list. See if you really, really want it. If it's still there in a month, you obviously you want it. But this is one of those times when that was just not going to work, because if I had left this bag behind, somebody else would have come in and scooped it up, and I would be cursing myself for not being able to find anything like this again. All right, so that's what I wanted to share with you about this. So we went through all of the whys, and you got a chance to see the bag, and you also got a chance to see a couple of pieces in my wardrobe that are olive suede. And I am sorry, because I know the lighting and the camera and whatever really showed those suedes in very different colors. A lot of that is just a function of the nap of the suede, but most of it was the multiple lighting sources catching the suede at different angles. In general, they're all olive suede, so even if there are slight differences in the shades, which there are, but they are slight, it's not going to be a big deal. That's why primarily it was a good deal for me. The number one reason is I have stuff that will allow that bag to just slide right into my wardrobe and look like it belongs there. And it's not something I actually thought I need. Well, no, that's not fair. It is something I actually thought I needed to get in terms of a travel bag. I've been thinking about that for some time because I am planning to do some traveling. And right now, my travel options in terms of bags are some large leather duffel bags. I believe in traveling light, and I believe in not checking my luggage if I can avoid it. So, yeah, if I can carry it, I'm going to. But there was a bit of a gap for that sort of weekender size bag. That wasn't what I had in my mind when I walked into the store. I walked into the store just thinking I'm going to check out their handbags. Who knows? The last time I was in there, I found a cute bag, not a permanent bag. That is not a forever bag. This green suede one is a forever bag. The little black Steve Madden one that I found for $8, that's not a forever bag. That is going to be fun for a couple of seasons. It is going to give me a small black bag, which I need because I do not have one. Well, okay, I have the Chanel. That doesn't go to the grocery store with me. But This is a little, go to the grocery store sort of thing. So it'll fill a need in my wardrobe, and that's pretty much the end of it. Eventually, it will just get donated, either when I get sick of it, which is very likely because this is a popular, trendy style. Oh, by the way, I'm referring to the Steve Madden bag. That's the one that is a popular, trendy style, not the olive one. The olive one is going to be just as good today as that style was in the 1850s. I'm fine with that. But for fast fashion kind of handbags, $8. That's what we're talking. If it lasts a couple of seasons and I get tired of it, so what? Going to McDonald's for lunch would have cost me more. So is it going to break my heart? Absolutely not. So it's very different sort of mindset. I felt guilty not because I thought the bag was a bad purchase, but because I had promised myself I wasn't going to be doing this. And I felt like I was backsliding. But I also got 3 scarves too. And I've got 2 of them here, so you're going to get to see them. So let's start with this one. This is a wool and cashmere scarf, and it's 2 colors. I was going to say two-tone, but no, we've got 2 separate colors here. Basically, there's a line right down the middle, and both of them are in nice neutral shades of brown. So why did I get this? Right here, Burberry, London. And this particular, Burberry, London. This particular logo tells me that the piece is vintage. And also, I can look it up and figure out exactly when that logo dated to, and I'm not sure, but I'll have to look it up, the early 2000s. But yeah, Burberry wool and cashmere scarf. Yes, I can justify that. Mostly because Burberry, and because it doesn't hurt to have a good winter scarf in neutral colors. I do not usually throw my winter scarves in the same category as my fun decorative scarves because they serve 2 different purposes. One of them, the primary function of which is to keep me warm, is an absolute necessity if you live in a cold climate. So, others, and this is one of the others, and again, neutrals. Now, I would call this, again, 2 colors, not necessarily two-tone, but it's sort of a cream and camel tan. I would call this cafe au lait. That's what I would call it. But the other one, the edging is cream. Silk, Bill Blass. This one was like $12, I think. I can justify a Bill Blass silk scarf for $12. I got no problem with that. And they are both very much in need of a good steaming. But there was a third one, and it hasn't arrived yet. That was Bob Mackie. Bob Mackie and Bill Blass were huge in the 80s and 90s when I was young, when I was in my 30s. And so I have a soft spot for their designs. Same with Diane von Furstenberg. I have a soft spot for her designs because she was prominent when I was younger. So no Diane von Furstenberg scarves in this last purchase. But I have a couple of pieces, Bill Blass, Bob Mackie, and they're workhorses in my wardrobe. Why? Because I love the bright colors. I love the 80s and 90s look of these scarves. I do. And because they're so associated with that time period, which right now I think maybe it's not very popular, I can get them for cheap. I can get them now as vintage pieces for a lot less than I would have paid back in the 80s or 90s, even despite inflation, etc. So, are they good deals? Sure they are. the Burberry, I think with shipping, it was just over $60. So that was a good deal too. But again, despite the fact that I'm shopping when I'm not supposed to be, I'm still holding out for the best possible deals I can get. But I did want to share that with you because that was my other sort of falling off the wagon moment. I wanted some scarves. So, and quite frankly, I'm not sure I'm ever going to be able to absolutely curb my spending. Not on clothing anyway, because I go between the extremes. One extreme being, I want to shop. The other extreme being, I want to buy something and never have to buy it again. And both of them are unreasonable. And I have to find that middle ground. And that is going to take some time and some work. I need to find that point at which it's okay to buy a little, but not go crazy. For me, that's definitely going to be tricky. But I did want to share in more detail, what was going on with this. And also I wanted to follow up on a couple of things I had mentioned about the olive bag. I will be waterproofing that. And remember, I did that with shoes recently. I tested the product, and the first pair of shoes I tested it on was a pair of pretty scruffy moccasins, so that if they got miserably damaged, I wouldn't be heartbroken. But yes, I have a good waterproofer. I will be waterproofing that bag because it would be stupid to take it out into the elements knowing that a lot of rain would result in a lot of spotting. Nope, going to deal with that. My storage of all of my bags, even that $8 little Steve Madden piece, is very meticulous. And did I mention in there? I might have, that in fact, I learned the hard way. I stored a leather bag that I really liked improperly, and it got mold on it, and I lost the bag as a result. That's one of the reasons that I am so picky about the way I store things now, because I don't want to lose something that I care about simply because I was too ignorant or too lazy to actually keep it properly. So, yes, it pays. If you like your stuff, take care of it so that you don't have to go through what I did. Learn from my mistake. By the way, that's the best way to learn. Everybody says, well, you got to make your own mistakes. No. If you're smart, you let somebody else make the mistakes and you take notes. So, yeah, learn from my mistake. That's what ended up happening. So I am going to waterproof it. I am probably only going to use it as a travel bag, weekend, whatever. And it's probably going to spend a great deal of time in storage because of that. And that's okay. Because like I said, this is a forever piece. And I don't have a problem with forever pieces. But I'm also seriously looking at the fact that because olive suede is so hard to come by, I have got to rethink whether or not it's useful for me to keep this stuff in my wardrobe. Now, emotionally, the answer is yes, because I love my olive suede stuff. But is it the most practical choice I could be making? And I'm pretty sure the answer to that is no. Now I'm going to have to navigate that gray area. How much am I willing to do in terms of searching for other items, protecting and caring for the things I have to maintain that cluster of olive suede stuff that I love so much, and then add to it gradually because it is hard to find. So that for me is an ongoing issue, but I'm sure we all have our ongoing issues. So again, what do I want to hear? I want to hear from you. What are your ongoing issues? Where do you find yourself caught between the two extremes? I want to buy things once and never have to buy them again. I want to buy things all the time. It's like, conservative me and shopaholic me. So, yeah. And I'm sure we all have this. So maybe we should talk about that and get into it a little and see if we can't help one another find that sort of safe middle ground where it's okay, to buy things occasionally, but just not buy things all the time, where it's okay to keep things in our wardrobe that might require extra care, that might be odd colors and odd styles that are going to be hard to match with other things. When does that become okay? All right, that is what I have for you today. We are going to take a look at a slideshow on the way out. And for those of you who join us for Just Chatting, 8 o'clock New York City time this evening. And for everybody else, we will see you next time and have a terrific day.